Hey everyone, my name is Daniel, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at Power Apps offline mode using Dataverse as the data source. So we'll first start by taking a look at the Canvas app and specifically a few controls that I've added in preparation for the offline mode. We'll also take a look at the Dataverse table. Then we will focus on all the configuration that is needed for the offline functionality. We'll first start at the environment level and then at the app level, and finally I'll do a full demonstration. So it's very important for you both as an app maker and as an admin to watch this video if you're seriously considering the offline functionality. But first, here's my intro video. So let's get started. So let me first give you an overview of the Canvas app and the back-end Dataverse table that I have. Also in the Canvas app, I want to take a look at this one specific icon that I added over here. But first, an overview of the app. This app is to go ahead and take a look at all the counties that I have in North America. And therefore, this app itself is called as NC, which stands for North America, DOT, which stands for Department of Transportation, Counties. And counties are small sections of each of the states in the United States. This app specifically focuses in my state, which is North Carolina. And that's basically the synopsis of this entire app. Now, the backend data source is also Dataverse. So if I go and actually click on it and take a look at my edit data, you will see a pop-up window that comes up. And over here, I have just about 100 or so rows because that's how many counties that I have, all right? So this is all happening in Dataverse in the backend. And these are my columns. Here is my auto numbering column, which is ID, title, which is each of the county names, the status of those, if they're active or inactive, and then the created on date, which is basically a timestamp. This is my simple Dataverse table in the back end. Now for the app, the most important thing that I want to show you is this icon over here on the top right. It is called as the globe icon, but when I click on the icon, for the icon property, this is the switch power effects formula that I've used. And this is very important to note because this is in preparation for that offline mode. Basically what I want is so that if the app goes offline, I want that icon to change. And that icon should reflect what is the internet status of that app. And some of you must be wondering, it's like, dang, Daniel, how did you go ahead and build this? Well, I actually cheated a little bit. I got this feature from the app that Copilot automatically generates for me. And so here's how it is. If I go into my Power Apps and if I go ahead and start saying, hey, go ahead and build me an app for tracking or something, it goes ahead and creates this app for you using the Dataverse in the back end. And each and every app that it gets created has the same functionality on the top right. You see, that's the one which is there, the icon, and there, all of it comes from this Power Effects formula. So I literally went ahead and copied not just this one, but this entire top label and the icon because I like both of them. And I went ahead and grabbed that and directly pasted it into my app over here. And the final piece is solutions. What I mean is that your entire app and the table and everything needs to be in the solution because only a solution app can be allowed to turn on that offline capability. So in my case, I actually go out and here are my solutions, considering it's the exact same environment. I've got my solution created over here and I got 4 things. One of them is that app that I just showed you. And I've also got my table. Both of these need to be in a solution because a subsequent step that we're going to do, it'll be grayed out if they're not in a solution. So now that you've seen my Canvas app and I showed you the backend Dataverse table, let's start prepping all the configurations that we need to slowly transition this over into an offline app. So first, let's go ahead and make the setting changes at the environment level. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go into the top right on the settings and go to my admin center. So I do need to know what the environment is. So if I go back to my app, I see, okay, that one is in Manage Solutions. That's actually my environment name. So when I go to my PPAC, which is also Power Platform Admin Center, I go to my environments and I got to find that one. And there it is. It is called as Manage Solutions. That's my environment name. So now I'm going to click on it. And once I'm in, this is my general setting homepage for my environment. In here, I need to go and click on this setting. And on that setting, under users and permissions, when you go and click on that, right here is something called as mobile configuration. Now, when you click on it, you may already have one profile already here. It might be a generic one, something that the system already went and created. You might even see a GUID. You just might already see one. My recommendation to you is avoid using that. Create a new profile altogether. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'm going to click on the plus new profile, and I'm going to call this as offline mode profile. That's all I'm going to say. I'll also go and copy that, do a Control C, and I'll go ahead and paste it with the Control V. Click that, click on create. It is loading, and voila, our profile is created. Couple of things immediately stand out over here. It gave us our name, but it's also saying what is the state of this. So yes, you understood correctly. Once you go and build a profile, it doesn't immediately take effect. You got to go ahead and create it, put all the configurations, and then you have to publish it for the settings to take effect. Also, it automatically will go ahead and tell you how many apps are being utilized by this profile. And that's neat because it automatically knows, judging from its system in the back end, which one of these Dataverse tables is tied to an app. Identification work, it automatically does that for us. So now let's go into this profile and start doing some work over here. So there's a couple of things we need to do. First of all, we got to go ahead and add what table it is. And here's a question that I recently got asked is that, Daniel, can I even do this offline mode at a column level versus an entire table level? And the answer to that is, unfortunately, you cannot. You cannot do it at a column level. It has to be at a full table level. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'm going to click on this add table, and I can do a search for my table name. And just again, to confirm, it is NCDOT. That's one word. So I'll come back over here and I'll start doing a search for NCD, and I don't find it. Why? Because I missed reading the top. It says select a table for your offline profile, then come back to add more. Only offline enabled tables appear in this list. So I have to do that configuration first at the Dataverse table. So let's go back again. Go back to my Power Apps. Make sure that it's the same environment. It's got to be the same environment because you might have tables that name the exact same thing, have similar names. You can get confused. So my app and that table is in my managed solutions. I got to make sure that, okay, in the environment, that's the tables that I'm looking at. Let me go find my table. That is it. That is it. Click on it. And then I click on properties. And on the properties, click on advanced options. And as I scroll down, this is the one. Can be taken offline. I got to go and select that and click on save. Once it's saving, it's actually going and now making this table available to add it to that mobile offline profile. So let's wait for this to finish. Okay, so in my side, it took about a good 10-15 seconds. It might take the same or finish faster on your way. All right, but I've configured it over here for offline mode. I'm going to go back into now my environment and set up my profile, continue setting it up. If you don't immediately see it, just do a quick refresh because sometimes it could be cache on your browser or something that needs to be done. Best to go ahead and hit a refresh and then just make sure that you're back in the same place for your environment, the same environment settings, the profile that you created. And now here we're going and creating the offline one. So I'll go and click on add table. And now I'm just going to do a search for NC. And there you go. It showed up right on the top because we enable the offline setting at the Dataverse table level. So I'll go and select it. I'll go and click on next. Now here are some decisions that we have to make upfront. First of all, organization rows. Who all should be able to see this offline? Do you want to see it at the user rows level? Do you want to see it at the team rows or the business unit rows? This is a decision the app maker or the app owner has to make, is that these tables which are going to go offline, at which level it will be. User rows are the default ones. If you're not sure, go with that one first. The catch to that is more tables will have to be synced offline, but in this case, you won't miss any. There is also the team rows. Now, don't confuse this as your Microsoft Teams. This is the team that you set up in your environment to give access to these Dataverse tables, all right? So that's that one. And then there's also the business unit rows. If you've gone ahead and got business units already configured and you want to filter it based on the business units, you've got that option as well. So you can kind of mix and match. You can do one, you can do the other. You've got the options because these are check boxes. These are not radio buttons, all right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, how many rows do I want to show? You've got the option for all rows or you've got the option for custom. And if I go and click on this icon, a pop-up window comes and it says, hey, how do you want to go ahead and filter it? So in my case, if I go and click on add and I go and click on add, it's asking me, how do you want to go and do it? So I'll show you this one example. Let me go to my tables, and in my table, this is my Dataverse table, I've got something called I've got a status column showing all the active ones. Now, these are all the rows of data that I want to present in the offline. But in the future, I might go ahead and make some of these inactive. In that case, I don't want the inactives to be shown. That means I don't want them to be syncing offline, and I can save me a little bit of load time. So for something like this, I can actually go ahead and add a filter. So here I can now click on status, and in the equals, I can go and say, hey, I only want the ones which are going to be active. So this is just one of the ways, or you can filter it to reduce the total number of rows that you want it synced for offline, all right? Just gave you this one example. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to select at the organization rows, and I'll just leave it at that. Next is relationships. In your relationships, it will immediately identify if your table has any relationships. Now mine is a singular table. This is only one table that is coming in. However, if you've got some relationships already created over here and you're starting to see other tables referenced over here, then you will have to go ahead and bring those tables in as an offline mode as well. So the process is smart enough to even tell you, hey, you've got some relationships, but for that specific app, do you want to go and pull it or not? It's at least giving you that flexibility. In my case, I don't have any, therefore the relationships is set to 0. Final option is the sync interval. So when I click on it, you see that you've got some drop-down options. The lowest one you have is every 5 minutes, and the other one is every 1 day. What this means is how often is your app going to be synchronized with any new data that is coming so that the app can fully function with the latest data when it goes into offline mode. So yes, for this to fully function, your app needs to be online at least once for that first sync to happen. And then after that, any time that it is online, it has access to the internet, in any of these incremental cycles, it will go ahead and sync with that data. So you make that judgment call, all right? Because you are the best person who knows how often the app is going to be used. And if you don't know that, go and talk to the subject matter experts of those apps and say, hey, how many times are you going to be offline? Is it going to be every 10 minutes? Is it going to be every 15 minutes, every 1 hour? Because based on those increments that you find out, you can go ahead and make that decision. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to go and do every 30 minutes because that's what I know for my app. There is a possibility that after every 30 minutes, the users will go into a location where there's no internet connection, and over there, the app needs to work every offline. So I'm giving myself 30 minutes, but again, you make that judgment call. So I'm going to go and set this up now. So I'm going to click on, I got to make sure I select at least one of these guys, which is at the users row level. Let me go and select that. And now I'm going to click on save. So it has gone ahead and configured our first table. This is where you can go ahead and add all the other tables also that you will need for your offline functionality, all right? So you have more function. So you have the option to go and add one more table. It's not just bound by one. It's not just limited to one. So I'm not going to go one step back because I'm done with my table selection. I got to focus on the users. Who are the users who need offline access? And you've got some flexibilities over here. So I can go and click on this add users, or I can go click on the manage. Both of them take me to the same place. So over here, I can go and click on add users. And right now you've got some options. It says search for a name, email address, or team name. This is a lowercase t. So this team name is the team that you set up on your environment level. And I'll quickly show you what that means. If I go and cancel out over here, let me go back all the way to the settings. I go to users and permissions. You see this team is tied directly to this environment only. And over here, you click on this plus create. And on the plus create, you go ahead and give this team name. So I'll go and say offline mode team, Go ahead and select that. I'll go and put this in over here. You've got to go ahead and give it a business unit. So you got to make that decision. Whoever is going to be administrator, in that case, the administrator will be me. So I'll put that. And now the team type. So on the team type, you've got these 4 different options. Team type based on the owner, based on the access, but these are the 2 important ones. The team type could be based on the Entra ID. Entra ID was previously known as Azure AD. Security group. and also the Entra ID Office group. Those are your M365 groups. You can do it at those different levels. So if I select security group, it is going to ask me, hey, what is your group name? And then what is the membership type? You can go and give these different levels. So it's beautiful that you can use your existing security groups that you might already have and apply it over here as well. You don't completely have to start from scratch. So I just wanted to show you how this team works over here. I'll go and cancel this off because I want to go and focus back again. So I'll go back to my users. I'll go to mobile configuration. This is the profile that I created. So I selected that. I'm going to go back to my users and my users, for the sake of this example, I'm just going to go and put in one name over here. All right. This is just going to be me. But I just showed you that you've got other options. So I'll go and click on save. All right. It's very, very important that you do all of this plumbing work, this pre-configuration done upfront, and this happens at the environment level. So I'm done over here. What I got to do is go out one more step, and this section I got to select it, and I got to go and click on publish. You've got to go and do that once. So I'll now select publish. It's in progress. Let it finish, because it says once your profile is published, apps linked to this profile will start receiving refined offline data. Cool. So it's done. So I'll click on OK. So we are done at the environment level. Next step is at the app level. So I'm back inside the studio of the app because that's where you also need to be. Right here, I'm going to go into my settings and you stay on the general tab. But if I scroll down, you will see this option. It says can be used offline. By default, it's toggled off. And then you also have the profile option, the offline profile option that we created. And once again, I want to remind you, because if for some reason you see these two grayed out, that immediately means that this app and this Dataverse is not in a solution. I mentioned that just a few minutes before. I want to go ahead and call that out right now, because there might be one of you who actually sees this grayed out, and that's because it's not in a solution. So go add it to the solution and then come back over here. So in my case, everything is good. So I'm going to actually turn this on, and then the select offline is auto-generated, but I'm going to go and select our offline mode. By the way, you see this auto-generated? That is why in your offline profile, you might already have that one default profile with some kind of GUID or something. My recommendation is don't use that. Create a fresh new profile, which is what you and I just did. And that is the one that I'm going to go and select. So these are the two simple things I need to do at the app level. I'll go and click on close. My gut feeling also tells me that just go and click on save. And then once its save is completed, we'll go ahead and do another publish just so that this is all done. So now we're also done at the app level. So now let's go through a few scenarios of how we should go ahead and use this app. So the first time you use this app, make sure you have internet connection. And that could be either one, through your cellular internet provider or through your Wi-Fi. The first time, make sure you have that internet connection. So as you can see on the screen, my phone does have internet connection. So I'm going to go now into my business site and I'm going to click on my Power Apps. So I'm clicking over here. The Power Apps app has opened up, and I went and already added this app as my favorite. That's why it's easier for me to find. So here we go. I'm going to go and now click on it. This is the first time that is opening up. And for some reason, it is asking me for a feedback. So I'm going to go and X out of this one. But hey, it's saying a new version of your app is available. Tap to update it now. So I'll go and do that. It's opening up. And now it says installing the app on your device, downloading data. It went and did that really fast. And if you didn't catch all of that, this is it. This was the offline profile automatically getting done. So once that is completed, it says this app may now be used without an internet connection. All that prep work we just did successfully got us to this point. So that little label, it's a little label, but it is huge. It gives you and me confirmation that, hey, we did everything right. So now I'm going to X out of this. And we'll just do a quick test just to make sure everything is good. All right, so I'll just go and do a view. I see all my items coming over here. I can do scrolling. Everything looks good. Just to be on the safe side, I'll go back to the home. I'll click on add. I'll just make sure that I add something new. So I'll go say live. I'll go and say live demo online test. A test, okay, that's fine, A test. All right, and I'll just make sure I select the correct date. Everything over here looks good. Click on OK. And then status, I'll leave that as is. And I'm going to go and click on submit. And there you go. Right in between, you see that live demo online A test with that auto numbering of 1004. That's the one that we just added with our internet connection. I also want to take a look at the icon on the top right. So when you actually go and click on it, it gives you some good information to look at. First of all, the offline sync option, well, it is connected. It is successfully connected. Second, sync status, it says it is ready. And it also tells me the last sync, which was done today at 1431, which basically means 2 p.m. and 31 minutes. That's what it is. But the other thing is now it's telling me, hey, 3 tables available and then the storage one. So if I go and click on it, it is telling me that as of right now in the offline mode, your 105 rows have been successfully synced. Also, this is telling me there is no attachments, no image descriptor, whatever. That 105 is the total number of rows I actually have in my table, and it is telling me it was successfully synchronized. Next is the storage. If I go and click on it, it is telling me that the application data that it is currently consumed is only 2 meg. So I was very, very impressed with this feature which was available. That little globe icon on the top right, once again, when we go and click on it, it gives you this plethora of information immediately. And that is why it was so important to add this icon with all the PowerFX functions, because it's not just from a user interface, not from a UI side. It actually really helps from the user experience, giving all of this information to the user. All right, so we are done now doing the first sync and viewing all the properties. Now I want to test it in offline mode. All right, so the best way for me to go offline mode in my iPhone is I'm going to slide down a little bit, and you see that airplane mode on the top. I'm going to go and click on it. And when I did, it immediately took off 2 things. It took off my cellular data connection and it took off my Wi-Fi. In fact, even my Bluetooth is turned on. So here's my guarantee that I'm in 100% offline mode. All right, so when I go over here, and if I just make sure I do a sync, you will see that a whole bunch of my apps have disappeared. In fact, I don't even have a scroll option. But my app over here for the offline mode, it still exists. So now I'm going to go and click on it, all right? And here you go, it came in. But did you notice that the globe icon is a little bit different? That is the sign telling the user, hey, you are in offline mode. So I'll go and click on it right now. And there it is telling me, see the offline sync? It's telling me not connected. And it's also trying to say downloading application data, which is completely fine. It'll finish that later. But the key thing is this is another verification that we are in offline mode. All right, so I'm going to go and X out of this one. And I'm going to go and do a view. Well, I'm still seeing data. And this just shows that the first sync that we just did a few minutes ago was successful. Because not only do I see them in a gallery, if I go and click on them, I'm actually seeing the data. If I go back to the home one and I go back to the view, this one that we just added, live demo online at a test, click on that. And here you go. This is what it is. So let's do something, all right? Let's go ahead and actually modify this one. So I'm going to go and change this to live demo offline test. All right. So I went ahead and basically modified it. Click on done. Going to click on submit. And right over here in the gallery, we can see that it successfully went ahead and changed this. Again, we are in offline mode, but it has gone ahead and successfully changed it. Now, what I could do is I could go ahead and actually completely close this off. I could even go back to my app. I could go ahead and look at my app again. May take a few extra seconds for it to load. It varies. Go back into the view, and there you go. I have not lost any of my information. It is right over here. So now I'm going to close out of this one again, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on my internet so you can actually see it. Okay, I got everything coming up. We are in great shape. Let's go back into that app. The app opens up. Let's go in over here. The icon changes. I can go back in. And everything is right over here. But here, if I quickly switch over to my desktop, which already has internet connection, and let me go and do a preview. I'll click on the preview. We'll go and take a look at the view. See that live demo offline test? That is the change we did offline. And it did go ahead and sync in when the mobile app got internet connection. Now keep in mind, this is also where it is important to decide that sync option. Remember the sync option where you can do anywhere from 5 minutes all the way up to 1 hour, and you can do it in different increments, and make that decision by talking to the users who are going to use the app. Next, let's go and test by adding a new item altogether in offline mode. All right, so we are in my Canvas app over here, and right now we have internet, which means we are online mode. As you can see, I can scroll down and it's showing me all my apps. One other thing I'll do is I'll actually go ahead and open up my app right here, just in case if it needs to do any other syncing. We're good, so I'll go ahead and close off this app. Now let's go into the offline mode. So I'll again slide down over here. I'm going to click on the airplane, and we are 100% in the offline mode. And if I slide this up, you will see that I don't have a lot of scrolling option functionality. That's because only the apps that can work offline are showing up. So the one at the bottom, you see that NCDOT list offline apps, that's the one which I'm going to use because that's the app that I built. So I'll click on it, and we're going ahead and directly inside the offline mode. And now you see the icon on the top right, it has changed, telling me that I'm in offline mode. But our test is going to be adding a new item this time. So I'm going to go and click on the add option, and I'm going to go ahead and now put in the exact same thing. Everything looks good over here. And I'm going to deliberately say adding new item in offline mode. Done. I'm going to go and click on submit. And there you go. It is showed up, adding new item in offline mode. Notice that the numerical value on the top left isn't showing up. Well, that's because it is automatically generated by Dataverse table for us. That's the only reason. But let's go back and click on that icon on the top right. And right over here, there's some new information for us to see. You see it says data to load is one row. Well, that's the new row that we added. And it's saving it over here and giving us the assurance that, hey, I do have your new row over here, and it still needs to be synchronized. So this is pretty neat. So I'll go ahead and get out over here. And let's just assume that we've got our internet connection, all right? I'll just go ahead and get our internet connection back. Everything else should be looking good. I even have confirmation from the device that it is reconnected. I can go ahead and close the app. There it is. Let me go and open this app again. It is opening. On the top right, currently it is synchronizing. And now it is the globe icon over there. So let me switch over to my desktop and confirm that we see the new row over there. I'm in the studio. Let me X out, and just to make sure, I click on my Dataverse table. Let me do a refresh so it's syncing in. And there you go. Adding a new item in offline is there with its ID number, which is 1005. This tells me that it successfully loaded the data into Dataverse and auto-generated that new ID column. This is pretty awesome because we successfully tested editing existing items and adding new items in offline mode. And finally, I want to return back to your environment, go to the settings, users and permissions, click on the mobile configuration, select that profile that you and I set up, and over here you will now see apps using this profile. Hey, that's the app that we connected with. This is something that automatically happens. You and I don't go and add it over here. This proves that the profile is correctly tagged to your app over here. Also, keep in mind that you've got full control of who should and should not have offline access. So two sets of people could be using the exact same app, but one set is using it as a normal app with internet connection. Other set of people also have the flexibility of using offline mode, and they have to go through the whole synchronization process, which is a little different for them. But keep in mind, both of them are using the exact same app. So hopefully this video gives you the guidance that you need to either take one of your existing apps or build a brand new app from scratch and make it offline compatible, as long as it has Dataverse as the backend data source. And remember, you will have to make that decision as far as how delayed the sync mode should be. Should it be every 1 minute or should it be up to 1 hour? That's a decision that you will have to make. And as always, keep using PowerApps Canvas app online or offline. Hello, hello, hello. So if you like this video, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and smash that like button. Also, if you have a few extra seconds, can you go ahead and put in a comment? Either say something nice or give me ideas for my next video. And until then, see ya.